Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. So today we are going to discuss how to deal with toxic people. So toxic people can be found everywhere in this society, right? Sometimes toxic people can be found in our family, right? Maybe they can be found in our neighborhood. Maybe we can find them as our friends. So in one way or another, we have to deal with these people. And also, we have that intention that we should not get hurt ourselves, and also we should not hurt others, right? So we need to find a way to deal with these people. So today we are going to discuss about that. So first of all, I will tell you a wonderful story that tells us how Buddha dealt with a toxic person, right? So this is a famous and well-known story. One day, a man came to the Buddha and he started yelling and insulting, and he was cursing Buddha, right? So, do you know how Buddha faced that situation? He was smiling. He didn't make any reaction. Throughout that conversation and throughout that situation, he put on a smile, a positive smile on his face, and he was looking at that person who was yelling at him very kindly, right? So he was very kind to that person. Now after some time, that person stopped yelling, right? Everything that he packed inside him was over. He was finished. Then our great teacher Supreme Buddha asked a wonderful question from him, right? Now it is totally different to the situation, right? It does not suit for the situation. Supreme Buddha asked, do you get visitors to your home? Does visitors visit to your home? Then that person was astonished and he was amazed. And he said, yes, I get so many visitors to my home. Then Supreme Buddha kindly asked from that person, do you treat them with foods and drinks? Then that person said, yes, I am treating them. Then Supreme Buddha said, what if they did not accept what you have treated, what you have given? So, for whom those foods and drinks belongs to, if they did not accept those foods and drinks? Then that person laughed in front of the Buddha and he said, so if they did not accept my treat, then it belongs to me. I will eat them. Then our Supreme Buddha, with a great and wonderful kind smile in his face, he said, same goes with this situation, man. You treated me with rude and harsh words. You treated me with anger. But I am a person who is not accepting anything that you have given to me. I will never accept those rude and harsh words that you treated me. Right? So if I do not accept anything that you have given, then everything that you gave to me belongs to you. Then you should eat it. Right? Then that person was amazed and his anger was cooled down. Then after, Supreme Buddha preached the Dhamma, his teachings to him. After that, he became a follower of our great teacher Supreme Buddha. Now see how positively and how successfully our great teacher Supreme Buddha dealt with that toxic person. Now, if we were in that situation, what would be our reaction? Normally, when people yelling at us, we try to talk to them back. We try to prove them wrong, right? We try to control them with our rude and harsh words. Supreme Buddha said, if you treat with anger to the people who is treating you with anger, if you give the same thing, that means you are sharing their food and eating, right? If you become angry, that means you are sharing their treats. Remember, whenever you are in such situations, whenever you face toxic people, whenever people around you are angry, what you have to do? The first thing that you have to do is put on a positive smile to your face. Never show your sad or angry face to them. If you show that, that means you are providing what they want. Because they are coming to you expecting to hurt you. If you show them that you have been hurt, then you are unsuccessful. You provide them what they wanted. So never show your angry or sad face to them. Put on a smile. Be a positive person. Be a bigger person than him. Because when one person becomes angry, right, he becomes mentally weak. Remember, mentally weak people express their anger easily. The reason why they are expressing their anger is because they don't have a strong mentality. So you need to be the bigger guy, right? To be the bigger guy, you have to be positive, you have to smile, and you have to be motivated with virtues and morals. Okay? Be the best version of yourself. Don't try to talk to them back. That is the first thing. And also, you have to listen to what they tell, what they speak. Right? Set apart and leave behind the person. Don't care about the person. Care about what they say. Right? Sometimes they may be yelling at you because of a mistake that they think that you have done, but in reality, sometimes you haven't done it. So what you have to do? You have to listen to that and understand what they say. Right? Give a big attention to what they say. Right? So if they complain you about a mistake or something else, then you have to think, is that mistake prevails in my life? Right? Is that mistake is inside my life? Have I done that mistake really? Right? If you have done some mistake and if that is the reason that they are yelling at you, then you have to correct your mistake. But never show the face of anger or sadness. Okay? Then you have to correct it. If you haven't done any mistake, and still if they are complaining you, then don't try to prove them wrong. Because each and every time you try to prove them wrong, they may be understanding it in a wrong way. Because when our mind gets deluded or when our mind is covered by anger, normally an angry man shuts his eyes and ears and he opens his mouth. Right? He cannot see anything, he cannot listen to anything, he cannot hear anything. So what you have to do? Don't try to prove them wrong. Stay silent. Silence can give many answers to problems. Right? So if you need to prove them wrong with your success. Not with your words. Right? That is how we do it. So you have to set apart the person and listen to what they say. If you have done a mistake, correct it. If you haven't done a mistake, leave it behind. Don't care about that. So the best practice that you can do to generate and to have this skill is to practice the mind of loving kindness. Right? If you love yourself, you will never like to make yourself angry. If you love yourself, then you will have the opportunity to love others. And if you love others, you will never try to hurt those people with rude and angry words. So practice loving kindness, practice compassion, right? Love, compassion, care, these things can provide many answers to the problems that pop up in our life. So you always need to be kind. You always need to be humble. And also remember, being humble is not being weak. You need to be positive, right? You need to have a good skill to handle these situations. Now this can be done by visualizing to yourself that how I'm going to face such a situation. If you can visualize that a situation like that now, and if you can imagine in your mind how I'm going to face it, right? If you can see that you are having a good smile on your face, and if you are listening to those people, and you are handling that situation very successfully, then that visualization will help you to deal in a real situation like that. So practice that, right? That is how we deal with toxic people. Never provide what they want. When they come to you, they need the anger from you. They need to hurt you. So don't provide that. If you did not provide it, you will handle it successfully. So I wish you all, may all of you have that wonderful skill to deal with the toxic people successfully. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question from the comments. So the question is, please tell us how to be mentally strong. We need it very much. So let's talk about this today. How to be mentally strong and how to develop a strong mindset. Well, first of all, let's take a look at what is a strong mindset is. Now, just take a look at this Dhammapada verse from the Buddha. The Buddha said, Selo yatha ekagano vatenana samirati evang ninda pasangsasu nasami janti pandita. As a rock that is unshaken by the storm, so too the wise are unshaken by the praise and the blame. Now, have you seen these big masses of rock? No matter how fast the wind blows, it is not shaken. The Buddha said, same like that rock, the wise people, they are unshaken by the praise and the blame in their life. And that is a strong mindset. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a few tips that you can practice to build up a strong mindset. Tip number 1 is to maintain a stable mindset in ups and downs in life, right? You know, life is like an ocean. Sometimes ocean is calm and quiet and peaceful, and sometimes it is stormy, right? We face ups and downs in life. The Buddha said these are called 8 worldly conditions, attaloka dhamma. That means praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disgrace, and pleasure and pain. These are the 8 worldly conditions that we face in our life. Remember these things. So, Buddha said, accept these ups and downs in life. Whenever people criticize you, whenever people blame you, whenever you go through tough times in your life, if you can be mindful about your mind and your emotions and your feelings, and not to chase after these emotions and feelings, then you can be more stable in these situations. You can maintain a good emotional balance in these situations. So it is very important to be mindful and to practice the self-awareness in these situations. And also remember, you will not be able to always get the sweet comments and sweet opinions and sweet experiences in your life. Life will give tough times to you. Life will throw lemons at you. So you have to maintain a stable mindset whenever you go through these situations by practicing the mindfulness and the self-awareness. Remember that. Tip number 2 is to build the resilience inside the mind. The resilience means the ability to stand up and bounce back when you go through the adversities and when you go through the challenging situations in your life. To practice this, one thing that you have to know and one thing that you have to understand is that what is in your control and what is not in your control. If you have a good understanding about what is in my control in my life and what is not in my control in my life, right? For an example, if people comes up to you and if they're starting to criticize you, those criticisms, those words that other people speaks about you is not under your control. But what is in your control is your reaction to them. It is always a choice. You can think about this like, should I become angry with this? Should I take this negativity? Should I share this negativity with them and be negative as them? If you can question like that, then you're not ready to take that negativity. And also remember, having a strong mindset does not mean that you're falling down and you're feeling hurt and you're feeling down. Having a strong mindset means you can stand up as soon as possible when you go through these tough situations. You can quickly stand up and you can quickly retrieve back to the normal situations in your life. That is called the resilience. So to practice this, you have to have a good understanding about what is in your control in your life and what is not in your control. The experiences happens to you and the things that people say to you, other people's opinions, other people's thoughts about you is not under your control. But all the things that is inside your mind, your opinions about them, your reaction to those experiences, totally under your control. So if something is not under your control, you don't want to worry about it because you cannot make any change about it. But if something is under your control, definitely you can make a change about it. You can change your choice, but not others. So remember that. And also you have to cultivate a problem-solving mindset. If you're easily panicked by the problems or if you're easily triggered by the problems, then it is not easy to solve the problems, right? But if you can maintain a calm and a peaceful mindset, even when you go through the problems or tough situations in your life, then it is very easy to go into the roots and solve the problems. Sometimes we take the problems as ourselves. Like we think, we are the anger, I am this problem, why is this happening to me, right? Remember, everything that happens to you will be impermanent. It is not a permanent thing, right? It will be changed one day. So what do you have to do? Keep that problem aside and try to dive into the roots of that problem. Ask from yourself, why this thing happened to me, right? What is the reason for this, right? What is the real reason for this? Where did I make the mistakes? And go to that problem, go to the root, and then you can solve that problem. That is how you build up a problem-solving mindset. And finally, tip number 3. Last but not least, you have to practice a mindset of self-love and self-compassion. Remember, if you're loving yourself, if you truly love yourself, you're not going to take other people's negativity with you, right? You're not ready to take other people's negativity with you. Whatever the thing that comes up to you, whatever the person comes up to you and bring their negativity with you, you say, well, I'm not going to take this negativity with me. I want to be peaceful. I want to love myself. I truly love myself. Therefore, I'm not ready to take your negativity. I'm not sharing this negativity with you. That is called self-love and self-compassion, right? To practice this, you can adopt a simple practice that you can do it daily, right? When you get up early in the morning, just sit on your bed and think, no matter what happens during the day, I am going to love myself. I'm not going to take any negativity from this world, right? I'm going to empty my bin and I'm going to take a new bin to this world, right? Do you know if you've kept all the bad things and trash in your bin for a long time, what will happen? If you're in your trash bin, it will start to smell, no? But if you remove every single day all the trash in your bin and make it make it a clean place, then it's very easy to live. It's very easy to be peaceful within. So practice the self-compassion and self-love to build a strong mindset. Some people think that the people who are easily lose their temper, some people think that people who show their toughness and rudeness, they have this strong mindset. But no, anger and showing this negativity is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of weakness, right? If you are easily triggered by people, if you're easily triggered by the people's reactions, then it's not a strong mindset. The strong mindset is the mindset that is not disturbed by the ups and downs in your life. So practice these simple steps, right? Build a stable mindset, make your mind a resilient one, and finally, love yourself more than any other person in this world. When you practice these steps, you can build up a mindset that is unshaken by the ups and downs in your life. So I wish you all, may all of you find the happiness in your life. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Today we are going to discuss about a question that has been mentioned in the comments. The question is how to remain peaceful and calm under stressful situations. Coming right up. Stressful and difficult situations are the situations that we all have faced in all of our lives. But many of us face these situations in an unsuccessful way. Under difficult circumstances, under stressful situations, we become depressed, sad, and anxious. So, how to remain calm and how to maintain your inner peace under these circumstances? So first of all, we have to know and we have to learn and we have to observe what is the situation. Remember, there is a common nature in all the experiences and situations that we face in our life. What is this? What is that common nature? That is called the impermanence. Whatever we encounter and whatever we experience in our life, soon after that has been experienced, it becomes impermanent. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Now imagine someone is complaining to you about a mistake that you have done or maybe you haven't done, right? So he's yelling at you, right? So in that moment, when the people complain and blame at us, we become depressed, we become sad. But what is the nature of that situation? What is the nature of those words, those rude words? Now soon after we hear them, they become impermanent, right? Soon after you hear them, they will no longer prevail in our life. They are gone. That means everything that we encounter in our life, experience in our life, they become impermanent. That is the nature. But the real problem is that our mind clings to those experiences, and there's a nature in our mind that it creates again and again those experiences inside. Now, for an example, as I mentioned before, when someone blames us, right? Now we know that soon after that we got the blame, the words are gone. They have become impermanent. But what our mind does, it creates those words again and again. We think those rude words again and again, and we become sad and depressed. But the real nature is, those words are gone. They have become impermanent. Right? So that is the nature. Understanding about the impermanence. Understanding that these experiences and all the things that we face in our life are impermanent is very important to face or to be calm in a difficult situation. Because you know the nature. That is the first step. We need to understand that each and everything that we face in our life is impermanent. Right? Whether you face a terrible time, it will become impermanent. It will be changed. There will be a good day. Whether you face a good time, a happy time, a wonderful time, that will also become impermanent. That is the nature. So first of all, you need to understand about this. The world is impermanent. Our life is impermanent. Nothing is permanent in this world. Not even your problems. First step. And the second step. Whenever you are in a difficult situation, whenever you are in a terrible moment, you need to practice some practices or to do something to remain peaceful and maintain your peacefulness and think of a solution to solve this problem. So how to do that? Now, many of us, during the difficult situations, we become panicked. We freak out. So it is the best thing to do during a difficult situation is to do some practices to calm our mind. So what we can do to make our minds calm? The best thing that you can do to make your mind calm and peaceful is do some meditation. Right? Do a little bit of a meditation during that stressful situation. So how to do that? The easiest meditation that you can practice within a stressful situation is to contemplate on your breath. Now, breath is an amazing thing. It changes according to the situation. Isn't that right? So when we are in a terrible moment, right? When we are in a dangerous moment, what is the nature of our breathing pattern? It becomes fast and it becomes shorter. We take short and fast breathing patterns, right? So what is the nature of our breathing pattern? That when we go to sleep, what do we do normally? I think most of you have experienced this. When you go to bed and when you lie down, you take a deep breath in and let it go. That is a sign that your body shows that you are going to rest. So if you need to become peaceful and serene and tranquilized, you need to restructure your breath. So in a difficult and terrible and stressful situation, just take deep breaths in. You can do it. Breathe in deeply and let it go. And contemplate on the pattern of your breathing. Now you can do this, but this needs a little bit of a practice. Right? You cannot do it without a practice. First of all, you need to practice this. Now some people may question, now I cannot do this in a difficult situation. Yes, you cannot do it because you don't have that practice. First of all, you need to practice this contemplation and this practice where there is no stressful situations. Right? That is the thing. The nature of these practices is that if you do it whenever there is no problem, then it will help you to practice that way or the situation or that remedy during a stressful situation. There's a great saying that it says, if you sweat during the times of peace, you will bleed less during the times of war. That means if you practice during the times of peaceful situations and where there is no stressful situations, it will help, that practice will help you to face the difficult situations. So, practice at least 5 minutes a day to contemplate on your breath. Right? You can feel the way that you are breathing. Right? It will help you to tranquilize your mind. Supreme Buddha said, Vitakku paccedaya anapana sati bhavetappa. If you need to stop the chattering mind, if you need to stop the thoughts that are popping up all the time that inside your mind, just practice the anapanasati, or which we call the breathing meditation. Just contemplate on the breathing meditation. When you contemplate your mind on this breathing pattern, right, you're focusing your mind to inhale and to the exhale. That means your mind jumps from one thought to another, but there is only two thoughts. Inhale and exhale. You're not thinking about anything else. Right? That means you reduced thousands and millions of thoughts to two thoughts. So that is a big thing. So if you do it as a practice, you will feel that your mind will become more and more peaceful and tranquilized. So whenever you face a difficult and stressful situation, try to take deep breaths, few deep breaths in and let them go. And it will make you feel better. Right? So if you need to face a difficult situation, if you need to face a stressful situation successfully, you have to be ready for that situation where there is no stress. So that is how you face the difficult situations without being distracted. And also, as an extra thing, you have to practice the love and kindness. And also you have to practice the forgiveness. If you can practice these great qualities like compassion, love and kindness, especially forgiveness, you can maintain your peacefulness. Because when you forgive people, as an example, when you forgive people, that means you are letting go of them. Right? The more you forgive, the more you will feel the peacefulness within. But forgiveness does not mean that you are going to fall into the same trap again and again for them. You forgive for yourself and you know that person and you can stay away from them in a positive way and you can still be kind to them. Because kindness and forgiveness starts within your heart and it will help you always. So practice these practices in the times where there are no stress and disturbing situations. And one day, when you master them, one day you can maintain your peacefulness within yourself without being distracted. Namo Buddhaya, Thiruvan Saranai. Welcome to today's video. Today, this special video is entirely dedicated to those who are studying. Now, one of the most frequent questions that I get asked in the comment section is, Bhante, I'm studying and my mind is distracting all the time, and how to focus on studying? Well, today, let's discuss about this distracting mind. Okay, and also I'm going to share with you a few tips where you can practice in while you're studying to help to focus your mind on studying. So, without any further ado, let's get into these tips. Now, while you're studying, have you ever found yourself daydreaming? Right? Sometimes we sit down to study and we just turn our book on and we start to study, and after a few minutes, what happens to us? We just get distracted, right? We just start daydreaming. Trust me, when I was studying, when I was at home, right, before I became a monk, when I was studying, I used to daydream a lot. Okay, I used to get distracted a lot. So it is very difficult. I know it is very difficult and it's very hard to focus our mind to studies because we live in a world where there are many distractions. So what we can do about this distracting mind and how can we focus on our mind on our studies? Well, there are certain things that you can do. And one of them is, the first thing that I want to share with you today is that I would like you to write down what you become distracted. Okay? This is something that you get heard rarely. Okay? So let's say like this, you're studying, okay? And you turn over the book and you started studying. And sometimes the same thing happens. What is that? Daydreaming. Okay? It's okay. Let it happen. Okay? Once you know and once you identify that you are daydreaming, and once you found yourself that you are daydreaming, what do you have to do? I want you to take a pen or a pencil and take a blank paper and write down that thought that you became distracted. For an example, while you're studying, sometimes we used to think about foods a lot, okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. I got distracted about thinking about biryani, okay? Something like that. Or sometimes we become distracted thinking about the past experiences, the things that happened in the past, okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. Jot it down on a paper. Now, why should we do this? Because most of the time, we are not aware of what we are thinking. When we become distracted and when we daydream, we don't know what is going in our mind. We don't know what we are thinking. We just jump into that stream of thoughts and we just flow down. So what do you have to do? When you write that thought in a piece of paper, right? It's like you're identifying that thought, right? You code that thought and you identify, okay, this is what makes me distracted. This is what makes me unfocused on studies. Okay? Then there's a physical thing that you can see, and you can see that it is physically that you are distracting. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write down your distracting thoughts. Okay? Then you have a good understanding. When you do this for a little while, what can you do is, and what can you find is, there's a pattern of distractions. That means we become distracted for few thoughts, and they are the thoughts that come again and again to our mind. So what do you have to do? Write it down. That is the first tip. Second tip, identify what makes you distracted and then be brave enough to remove all those distractions. There are triggers that makes us distracted. Let's say, for an example, our mobile phone. Okay? Let's say you're studying and there's the mobile phone on the desk. Each and every time it rings a notification, what do? We take our mobile phone and we check what it is. Okay? So a mobile phone is not distracting you. It is a trigger for your distraction. Trigger is just a trigger until you give the power to that to make you distracted. So what do you have to do? Physically, by force, sometimes it's very difficult, okay? You have to be brave enough to do that. Remove that distraction. If your mobile phone is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it, okay? If your laptop or your any technical device that is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it. And sometimes, right, sometimes we have to use this technology. Okay, sometimes you have to use your laptop to study. So what do you have to do? While you're doing it, be much more disciplined and much more aware of what you're thinking and what you're doing inside it. Okay? Use it only for what you want. Okay? While studying. I'm not saying that other times you can use it whatever in whatever way you want, but use it only for what you want while studying. So the second tip is to be brave enough to remove the distractions. Okay? If something is distracting you, you have to remove it. Tip number 3, do not study for long hours continuously. I can still remember when I was studying and when I was at home, I can still remember I used to make these schedules and timetables to study for 2 or 3 hours continuously. It is not productive. So what you can do? You can study for short time intervals. Maybe let's say 25 minutes. Okay, you can use 25 minutes to study, okay, and then take a little bit of a break, and then again study. And while you're studying, what you have to do, you have to jot down and you have to write down all those distracting thoughts. Okay, keep that in your mind. So do not study for long hours. Just take a break and refresh yourself, and then come back again to studies. That is another thing that you can do. And here comes the final tip, the tip number 4. It is the most important thing and the most awesome thing is to practice a little bit of meditation before every study session. Okay? Before every study session, let's say you studied for 25 minutes and you took an interval, and then you came back to study. Now, while you are taking that break, sometimes you do certain things to make your mind busy even more. So what we have to do? We have to just settle down and make our mind to focus. To do that, you can use a little bit of meditation before every study session. Just sit down on your chair and just close your eyes. And the easiest thing that you can do is to watch this flow of breath, in breath and out breath. When you practice this calming meditations like breathing meditation, that is one of the easiest meditations that you can do. When you focus your mind on this in-breath and out-breath, it helps you to become calm and settle down. Then your mind will get ready to study. Okay? So these are the few things and few easy things that you can do and practice while studying. Okay? So use these things and use these tips to study and make your studies a more productive one. Welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something really important for all of our lives, especially in these days, and that is the things that we should not speak with others, according to Buddhist teachings. Now, at first, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Buddhist, so why should I care about these things? Here's the thing. These principles can be applied to anyone's life, regardless of their religion or belief system. So that is why these speeches are called 4 unwholesome speeches. That is what Buddha said about these speeches. 4 unwholesome speeches. So without any further ado, let's dive in. First of all, we have lying. Now Buddha said, stay away from lying. Now I know we all have said white lies here and there in all of our lives, right? But whether it is a white lie, whether it is a black lie, grey lie, or a red lie, no matter what the lie is, lying itself can be so harmful for all of our lives. Why is that? When you lie, it destroys your trust. When you lie, it destroys your character, right? So that is why it is very important to have trust between people. In our daily relationships between people, the most important component of a happy relationship is the trust. So that is why Buddha said, live a truthful life. And it is very important to have that transparency and honesty in our relationships. So the first thing that we have to stay away from is lying. And next we have divisive speech. What do you mean by divisive speech? Divisive speech is all about creating drama between people or creating conflicts between people using your words, right? It can be gossiping or it can be talking behind someone's back, right? I must say that when you talk these words or when you use this divisive speech, it is not a good thing for your life. And also it is not a good thing for other people's relationships. So Buddha said, do not use this divisive speech. Do not break the relationships between people using your words. Most of the time, we use the divisive speech out of jealousy or out of anger. So that is why it's very important to stay away from divisive speech. And the third one is, Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. Now, when someone is calling you or when someone is treating you with rude words, how do you feel? Now, we all have been in this receiving end of such speeches, no? How did you feel? We felt sad, we felt depressed, we felt down about ourselves. So that is why Buddha said, do not use your words to put someone down, right? Do not use your words out of anger. This is all about criticizing and name-calling and putting someone else down with your words, right? So Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. And finally, Buddha said, stay away from idle chatter. What do you mean by idle chatter? Idle chatter is all about speaking meaningless or useless things, right? Now, that doesn't say that we cannot have a small chat or a fun talk with people. We can do that, but we have to know where our limit is in our speech, right? We have to set the boundaries in our speech, right? We have to know where our speech become unproductive, right? When you use these words, when you use your words in a meaningful way, you can create a positive life. And you can create a positive emotions or positive feelings in others' lives too, right? So these are the 4 unwholesome speeches that we have to stay away from, that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us according to the Buddha's teachings, right? So why all these things matter? Why these unwholesome speeches matter in our life? Well, Buddha said, the words that we speak can create either positive or negative karma in our life. Do not think lightly about this karma, right? You have to be very careful about the karma. So the intention behind your words really matters in your life. And that is why we have to use our words wisely, because it can make a huge impact in our lives as well as in others' lives too. So words that we speak are like a knife, right? You can use the knife to cut something useful, right? And also you can use the knife to kill someone else. So let's use our words to create a better life for ourselves and for others. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some food for thought for your life. So until next time, I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. A quick question. Are you having sleepless nights because of these heavy loads of thoughts that are coming and looping inside your mind? Or are you someone who is imagining the worst case scenarios all the time whenever you're going to do something new? Or are you someone who is worrying about what other people will think of me? Well, if you are such a person, you might be overthinking. So let's find out a way that where we can get out of our head and quit overthinking and get the works done. So what we can do for this? Well, the first and the foremost thing that you have to do is to realize that overthinking is not going to help you in the process, right? You can plan, you can analyze, but do not overdo it. If you are over planning, if you are over analyzing, it's not going to help you, right? It will distract you from the process. The first thing that you have to realize is that overthinking is not going to help you. The second thing, you can practice to be mindful. Now, this is a practice that you can do to stop overthinking, to be mindful, to practice the mindfulness. So how can we practice the mindfulness? So there are many ways that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us to be mindful. One of them is to be mindful about the breathing pattern, which we call anapanasati. Right? When you become more mindful about this inhale and exhale, your mind instantly comes to the present moment. Right? Now you're only thinking about inhale and exhale. You're being mindful about that. Now, instantly, you reduced these thousands and thousands and looping thoughts to two thoughts. What are those two thoughts? Inhale and exhale. So when you're thinking like that, and when you become mindful, normally, automatically, you will find the peacefulness and you will stop overthinking about these things, right? So whenever you catch yourself overthinking, what you have to do, take 3 deep breaths in and out, right? And just stay for a while by being mindful about your breathing pattern. Or you can be mindful about your body, right? You can ask from yourself that, how am I sitting now, right? What am I doing now? When you ask these things from yourself, you can answer these things like, I'm sitting now. You can recognize. When you do these things, you can be mindful. If you're mindful, your mind is in the present moment. And when your mind is in the present moment, your mind is in the peacefulness. There's a saying, and it goes like this. If you're sad, then your mind is in the past. If you're anxious, your mind will be in the future. But if you are peaceful and if you are still, your mind is in the present moment. So start living in the present moment, right? When you live in the present moment, when you live right here, right now, you can be more peaceful and you can stop these overthinking patterns, right? And also, there's another part of overthinking. What is that? The what if question, right? So many people ask from them that, what if this happened? What if this not happens, right? What if everything that I did was wrong? They are constantly thinking about these things like that, right? They are imagining these worst case scenarios. So, I must say something about that, right? So, if you're thinking this what if question again and again, you can ask from yourself, what if everything that I did was okay? You can be positive. What if everything that I've planned and I've done was really great? So that can happen. There is always many possibilities for your plans to go okay. So don't be negative. Always think, I'm not going to be perfect, right? I cannot be perfect, but I can be the best version of myself. I can do my best. I must do my best. And be positive and go for it and take risks. Without taking risks, we cannot be successful in our lives. So practice these things, right? Be more mindful, right? Be more kind to yourself. And always think that if I overthink, if I constantly worry about myself, it will kill the peacefulness of my life. So I hope this video gave some light to your life. So be peaceful and be mindful and get out of your head and start doing the works that you haven't done. Welcome to Inner Guide Q&A program, where we find the answers for our life's problems through the great teachings of our great teacher, Supreme Buddha. So one of our viewers have asked a question from us. that how to stop the bad habits. How to stop the bad habits. So today from this Inner Guide program, we are going to learn and find how to stop a bad habit. Before learning how to stop a bad habit, first of all, we have to learn and find what is a habit and how a habit is formed in our life. Normally, habit is something that we do again and again throughout a long time, and after doing it through a long time, it will become automatic, right? After it becomes automatic, it does not require any effort to do, right? There are so many habits in our life, either good or bad. There are so many habits, right? So for an example, let's take early in the morning, you all get up and you go to your washroom and you take your toothbrush and put some toothpaste on it and you brush your teeth. Now, brushing your teeth is a habit. No one gets up in the morning and think, oh, I should brush my teeth today also. No one become sad or depressed of brushing teeth, right? Why is that? Because it has become a habit. Because from the little age, from the age that we were as babies, right, we brushed our teeth daily. And with the time, it became a habit. It became something that happens automatically. Normally, we get up early in the morning and we just go to the washroom and we brush our teeth. It does not require any effort, right? So, that is how a habit is formed. We do it for a long time and it becomes something that is very easy and well known, and it does not require any effort. So, there are good habits in our life as well as the evil habits. Now, our focus and our main target should be to reduce these evil habits. So, what are the evil habits that we have? Normally, the main evil habit that we have is we become angry with people all the time, don't we? We become angry. We get angry with people who are in our families, who are in our workplace, right? Why that happened? Did you think why is that happening? Because we have practiced this anger for a long time and it has become a habit. And do you need any effort to be angry with anyone? Do you want to take any effort to be angry with any person? No, you don't. Why? It has become a habit, right? And there is another bad habit. It is the feeling jealousy of others. It does not require any energy. You don't want to think about it. It comes to your mind automatically. And the craving and the lust. When we talk about that, normally we have the habit of craving the things. And the lust has become a habit to our life. So, that means we have practiced these evil thoughts throughout a long time and it has become a habit. And that is how the evil habits are formed in our life. So how to break these habits? Well, there is only one way to do that. And that one way is to replace that evil habit from a good habit. Okay? That is the only way you can do that. Stop a bad habit. Instead of practicing that evil habit, in that time, you can practice another good habit. Suppose you get angry with a person, right? You are a person who gets angry all the time. You are a person who loses your temper all the time. So what you have to do, you have to understand about your habit. You have to understand about your situation. right? Now you have to think, I get angry all the time, right? The first step is to understand about your situation. Number two, you have to think that this evil habit, this bad habit is not good for my life. It will never make any good for my peacefulness or my spirituality. The more you think about that, right, the more you think about the disadvantages of your evil habit, your mind always try to reject those thoughts. Because you are thinking about the disadvantages of those evil thoughts, right? Normally when we see some disadvantages of a special thing or a person or whatever it is, normally we don't like to be with that, right? If you are going to the supermarket and when you're going to buy something, if you come across and if you see some disadvantages of buying that special thing, do you buy that? No, you don't, right? Same as that, you have to think about the disadvantages of your evil habits. That is the second step. And then as the third step, you can bring out a good habit to practice instead of that evil habit. Suppose you get angry with people all the time. Okay? So what you have to do, instead of blaming others, right? Instead of blaming for the little mistakes of others, what you have to do, you have to practice to be silent, and you have to practice to spread love and kindness to them. And also you have to train your mind to forgive them, right? Sometimes we may get angry for little things, right? The fights and the troubles that they are going on in the family life or in the workplaces are for very little things we are fighting. Remember, if we cannot forgive the people around us, we will never live peacefully, right? If you don't have the habit of forgiving, you cannot live peacefully, because we cannot expect the people around us to always to do good things and the things that we like, right? They may do weird things, but if we cannot forgive and forget, right, you will always see the mistakes and the wrong things and the troubles that has done by the people around you. The more you see it, the more you will become distracted in your mind. So instead of developing that evil thought, you can develop a wholesome thought. It's like this. Now, there are two sides of our mind. There is the evil side and the wholesome side. Okay? Think these two sides as two animals. Okay? So one animal is very dangerous, right? And the other animal is very calm and quiet and serene. And it is very useful. So if you keep on feeding one animal, suppose you fed the dangerous animal, the more you feed that animal, the more that animal will be strong. And that animal, with the time, that animal will control the wholesome animal. Right? The problem with us is we are feeding this dangerous animal. Right? Instead of feeding the dangerous or evil side of our mind, what you have to do is just feed the wholesome animal. Right? If you feed the wholesome side of your mind, what will happen? It will start to develop. Right? When it starts to develop, it can overcome and it can control the dangerous or evil thoughts of your mind without letting that evil thoughts to appear inside your mind. So what you have to do, just feed, always do and say the things and think the thoughts that feeds the wholesome side of your mind. Then with the time, that evil habit will be broken, and you will find that you always have a good habit instead of evil thoughts and evil habits. And that is how you break the evil habits in your life. So stop feeding the evil thoughts in your mind. Instead, feed the wholesome thoughts and make your life a peaceful one.
Now, Buddhaya, have you seen those people who are walking on slack lines or cables? They do these amazing stunts on these cables. Now, you may think that it is an easy task to do. No, it is the most difficult thing to be balanced on that cable. It is very easy to fall into either sides. Same goes with our life. It's the most difficult thing for us to be balanced, to balance our inner self and the outer self, right? So from this video, I would like to talk with you about an important place, an important area of us to be balanced, right? This is the area of we helping others. I read this wonderful quote. That is the reason that I wanted to make this video. I read this wonderful quote in a place that says, to not lose yourself in the name of helping others, right? That is amazing, right? For an example, let's say there is an empty jar or an empty vessel, right? Can you fill other cups with this empty jar? No, you can't. If you need to fill other cups, then you need to fill the jar first. In the same way, the Buddha says that you need to fill yourself. You need to take care of yourself, right? You need to improve yourself in order to help others, right? But it is very easy for us to be it in an extreme. Let's say if you're someone who is committing the fullest in yourself on the happiness of others, on the benefit of others, on the betterment of others, right? If you are a parent, if you are someone, if you in your relationships, let's say you are committing your fullest self to maintain this relationship and to help others and to make others happy, right? This can be an extreme. This can go to an extreme where you lose your character, you lose your identity, and you lose who you are in the name of helping that person, right? From the other person's perspective, it is a good thing to do. It's a great help for that person. But when you too much helping others without taking care of yourself, when you forget to take care of yourself, there are certain downsides that occurs in your life. One of them being, the more you help without improving yourself, you reduce the quality of your help, right? You reduce the amount, the productivity of help that you're going to give to that person, right? Now, with the time when the quality reduces, that person is not getting what they got before. And they will complain, why you're not giving me? Why you're not committing your fullest self for this? But in reality, you're doing it while losing who you are. Okay? So that is why the Buddha said it is really important to balance that, to be in balance when you help others. So the Buddha gave a wonderful simile or a metaphor to understand about this. Buddha said, be like a cow, a mother cow who has a baby calf. What do you mean by that? That means, the Buddha said, there are two jobs for a mother cow to do. One is that she should graze. She should first feed herself. Okay? She should eat grass and graze and feed herself. And also the other job is to take care of the baby calf. She should give milk to the baby calf, right? What if this mother cow forget one job? Okay, one of these jobs. Let's say the mother wanted to only to graze and feed herself and not take care of the baby. What happened? The baby calf will die eventually. What if the mother only gave milk, only be focused on giving milk to the baby calf? Then the baby calf will survive, but mother will die eventually, right? So in the same way, the Buddha said, for monks, as monks, we live and we are committed to a spiritual life, right? That is the sole purpose of entering a monkhood, to live a spiritual life, to be more focused on the spirituality. Now, when you do that, it doesn't mean you don't help others. You don't help and you don't work on others' happiness, right? But when you do that, Okay, one part of our monkshood is to help other people with Dhamma, with Buddha's teachings, and helping with doing charity and doing helping them with emotionally, right? When you do that, there is this part we forget our main idea. We forget our main goal, why we came to this monkhood, and our jobs going the other way. Okay, sometimes it's very easy for us to be engaged in charity, to help other people and be there for other people when they need. But when you do that, sometimes we forget to improve ourselves. So the Buddha said, it is the monk's duty to maintain this balance in the spiritual life while doing all the works and the chores and the duties in the monastery, right? While helping other monks and helping to the monastery, he must take care of his spiritual practice as well. He must be balanced in that as well. So to do that, you have to be like a mother cow who is feeding her baby and taking care of her as well. So keep it in your mind that yes, you need to help other people. It is very good to help other people. And if you need to give your fullest self, if you need to make others happy, that will make you happy, what do you have to do? First, we need to improve ourselves. Okay? So that is why it is really important to have some time during the day to take care of yourself. I like to call this me time. I have this me time every single day. No matter what duties that I have, I spend time for myself. Learning something, maybe practicing something to myself, to my benefit, so that I can help you people and people around the world in a more good way, in a greater way. Okay? So it is really important for all of us to balance this help to others and also help to ourselves. So I wish that you got some idea about this balance in life. So I wish may all of you be healthy, happy, and free from sufferings.